Okay, now let me share my screen. Sharing a screen, great. Okay, so let me talk a little bit about Part B, Project Part B. And let's take a look here. What is Part B about it? So here we want to count the total number of system calls that have been executed by you or by the system so far. So in this case, we are going to count any number of system calls. So Part B is pretty much like Part A. So you have to modify basically the same files, meaning this file that we mentioned in the previous approach in Part A. But remember, for Part B, you also modify. For Part B, for Part B, you also modify in kernel def.h, right? You have to modify in addition. Also for Part B, two key files, which is in kernel syscall, syscall.c, and in kernel sysproc.c, and these are lower cases. So let's do that. So here, my XV6, I'm going to kernel, and in kernel I'm going to work in the first key file, which is syscall.c. Syscall.c. So here, syscall.c, right? Syscall.c is here, and let's open it. Here is syscall.c. So for Part B, two main components. So you have to declare counter. Let's call counter B to avoid confusion with counter A. And remember that in syscall.c, and I'm going to set this counter to 0. And the second part is to obviously, I already include the system called Part A. Now I'm including the system called Part B. And another key element is here. Remember I mentioned that the function system call, all the system calls are executed. So every system calls comes through here. So it will be a good idea increase the counter here. Okay, and perfect. And another key element will be to extern this system call. Extern this system call. Let's extern this system call. Here we extern. The word extern make visible this system call to other files. Like we can communicate between different files. For instance, between sysproc and syscall. So we extern this system call, extern sys_parb. This will be the first file that is key for this project. The second one will be sysproc.c. I'm mentioning here sysproc.c. Here, let me read this thing. Sysproc.c. So here in sysproc.c, what I'm going to do is, obviously, I'm going to create a system call as the first system call, which was Part A. Here is going to be sys_parb, sys_parb, and it's going to return counter B. Remember that in this case, I don't have to declare counter B here because I declare this counter B in sysproc.c here. I declare this counter B in syscall.c. So I don't have to declare this counter B, but I can use it here. And the way that I'm using it, the reason because I'm using it, even though I didn't declare it here, is because I'm sharing it to this file that is called def.h, this one. So I have to modify this file. So I modify this file. It's here, by the way. If I'm not wrong, is here. And modify the def.h. You are going to look for syscall.c. Remember that we in syscall.c we declare counter B. So we have to go here and say, okay, let's extern int counter B. In counter B. So that's the way that we are going to share counter B between sysproc and syscall. Okay, and what else? Obviously, you will have to make all the changes that you did for part A. Namely, I'm talking about all these files, for instance. Let's start here. In syscall.h, you have to create a new system call number. So let's go there. You have to do all this stuff. Let me show you. So in user, I'm just following these instructions. In include syscall, create a new system call number. So here include syscall. So I have to go to the include folder. And here we have syscall.h. So I have to do a small modification. And obviously, before we have that part A was the first system call. Now part B is going to be system call 23. So continue doing what you did for part A. Now remember, in here in syscall.c, we have to do a modification to syscall.c in kernel, and we did it already, which is in kernel. Which will be to add this system call here too, and just continue doing what you did for part A. And then here in user, you have to populate the system calls array and user. So you know these things because you did it in part A, but let me walk you a little bit. User, and here in user, we are going to do usys.s, this one. And obviously, you have to add part B, and so on and so forth. So just do what you did in part A. But I would say the important part is, obviously, you will have to create now a tester tree for this. Let's call it tester tree. A new tester. So this new tester is in user. I created tester 3. Basically the same of tester 2, but the only difference is that, remember, 1, the total number of system calls executed so far is, now remember the name of your sister call is PowerB. Your system call is PowerB. So this will be the difference. So let me take a look of that. Let me do yes, and then here. Oh, and remember that I have to register this tester tree in main file.nk. So here I have to register tester tree, and that's it. Okay, so then you already register, and then let's test it. Let's see how it should looks like. Let me start the program. Make Kimonox. And let me type here tester3. For instance, I have 42. Let me type any command like ls. And let me test again. Let me try tester3. 792, a big number. Let me say another command like echo. And let me call again tester3. So these are the numbers that I'm expecting for the project. I hope that this helped you a little bit with your project, and I think it's gonna be used. Thank you. Useful. And stop recording.